All right, welcome everyone. Good evening. We're so excited to have you. My name is Camille Kerr. She or they pronouns are great. I'm with Upside Down Consulting. We do solidarity economy and cooperative development work here in the Chicago area. And I'm with an incredible and beautiful group of women tonight. We all came together. Although we're all from different kind of worlds, we're coming together and we've committed to work together for the next 3 years at the intersection of restorative justice and food justice and cooperative development and building wealth for our communities. So that's what we're talking about tonight, is both our separate work and the intersection of all of them, and how interconnected these worlds are. I'm going to keep it short because we cut a little bit of time, and I want to make sure that we hear everyone's voices. So I would love to, actually, let's do a quick round. I know sometimes we wait and do intros when we're doing our turn, but just so you know how powerful and these people are in the room. Colette, why don't you introduce yourself? Just like a incredible human, just a little preface, incredible human, powerful advocate for her people. Colette, give us a little intro.
Yes. Hi, everybody. Thank you, Camille. Colette Payne, Director of the Reclamation Project with the Women's Justice Institute. Formerly incarcerated, I have a past, and my passion is to educate communities about the impacts and effects of mass incarceration. Keep it brief.
Kim, the president of ChiFresh Kitchen and the driving force alongside her fellow members behind our success. Kim, quick intro.
Hey, everybody. So I'm Kimberly Britt. I'm a co-owner of ChiFresh Kitchen, and it's composed of 5 formerly incarcerated individuals who are looking to break barriers that we experienced ourselves through great, nutritious food in the Chicagoland area.
And you'll hear a lot more about ChiFresh coming up. And I think y'all already know Erika, because this is a food justice conference. So y'all know Erika because Erika is a presence in this space. And Erika, who are you, my love?
I am very grateful to be here. I'm grateful to have been invited into this discussion and sharing, and very humbled to be with the 3 of you in this conversation and in this work and in our partnership. It's really a dream come true. And officially, I am a co-founder and a CEO for Urban Growers Collective, and also president of Green Era Sustainability and Educational NFP. And I'm a emeritus board member for the Chicago Food Policy Action Council and its co-founder. So very excited to be here full circle and in this conversation. And very grateful to Camille for pulling us together and all of her humble and amazing weaving work that she's done for all of us to even be in this conversation and talking about solidarity economies and worker co-ops owned by Black women, which is a big deal in this city, and I think in this world. So thank you.
Of course. And I want to just say really briefly that, sometimes the prison industrial complex and food is linked in like the darkest of ways. Prison labor used in agriculture, the food in prisons is notorious, but food is here for healing and love and restoration. And so we're trying to rewrite the script of the relationship that food and these systems can have to make it so that we can heal together, right? So that's what we're talking about today. And I'm going to kick it off with Colette, who's going to tell us, we're going to hear some stories tonight. Colette's story about the relationship with food and the justice system and ChiFresh. And tell us, Colette, how did we get here today?
Absolutely. This journey has been amazing, and my past doesn't or didn't define my future. Once I became educated on who I was and whose I was. So, you know, I have a history, a long journey dealing with incarceration and substance use. And I did my first prison sentence at the age of 14. Cycled in and out of a system, coming home for the last time in 2012. And when I came home, I don't know, while I was incarcerated, when I think about it, I had my mom sending me all these type of books on how to grow your own food. I would get in trouble while incarcerated because I wouldn't eat the meat. It's mystery meat, and I would trade my meat for the fruit and the vegetables, even though that wasn't the healthiest either. But I wanted to learn how to grow my own food because I knew what it was. My family was always big on eating healthy. And when I came home, like I got this whole little flyer of when I left, how people make you those little cards. You're gonna do great. I had the name planned for my business, and it was Growing Payne, my last name, LLC. So that is my business name now. Now, when I came home, things kind of became full circle. When you have been formerly incarcerated, society kind of socially excludes us in a way where we're not able to get jobs or housing, and that is what you need in order to survive, right? And I had a few odd jobs. I worked at a thrift store. I hated it. I always came home itching and scratching, like, oh, I got to quit this job. And it was permanent. So growing home, I found out about Growing Home, the farm in the hood. And I couldn't believe that we had a farm in the hood, right? Right on 55th. I'm like, what? I want to work for them. And it was an amazing experience that changed my life in a way that I was connected, like the dirt, the smell of the dirt. I would be the positive one on the team. People be complaining. We be in the rain. We're harvesting. We're working on in Marcel, Illinois, at Les Brown Farm. We're drying out garlic. We're doing all this. People complaining. I'm like, hey, let's get her done. We got it. I was always the motivator of the team because I felt like it was a connection of who I was and who I wanted to be. Growing Home, because of my many, something that I'm not proud of, that I take ownership of. And in order for me to heal, I had to take ownership of my past. And nobody wanted to hire me because of the many felony convictions that I had. And I began telling my story like I'm telling it now. And that kind of kept me afloat, right? And then I started working for Cabrini Green Legal Aid, but first I started working for CLAIM, and we merged. CLAIM is Chicago Legal Advocacy for Incarcerated Mothers. And we merged, and we kept that work going, particularly with women, because when you support a woman, you support a community. We are, the ones, the glue that holds our families together. We're the one that's cooking. We're the one that's nurturing, making all the meals, making sure our families are well taken care of. So started doing that work at Cabrini Green Legal Aid, a policy associate. I held many hats, facilitated a group called Visible Voices. And that's when I met Kim. Absolutely fell in love with Kim. All of the women there, but Kim was kind of my favorite. She would always like listen to me and be like, yeah, I get that. When other folks would be like, I don't even want to be here. And it was okay. People were, come to a space and I meet them where they are, bottom line. So I met this woman named Joan, and I don't want to chop up her name, but Joan was amazing. And she started telling me about a food cooperative or a cooperative overall and what it entailed. And that's when I met Camille. Now, we sat down for over a year to figure out how we were going to get this off the ground and how it was going to take flight. And let me tell you, it has taken flight. The planning, I recruited Kim and Kim recruited others. I always say Kim bit the apple. Everybody else didn't bite the apple, and I wish they would have, because look at where ChiFresh is today. And that's what it's about. It's about creating economic justice, economic security, and empowerment. When women, in particular, because there are men who are involved with the program, are able to have shares and buy-in in the decision-making power, taking ownership of their lives, it's important. It's so important, and it's so great. As a formerly incarcerated person, I'm sure I can speak for the people that we haven't been given these opportunities to be empowered in this way. And I'm just really grateful and excited to be in community with you all and share what's gonna happen. Like, it's watch and see, it's coming, y'all. It's coming. And I'll pass.
We're passing to you, Kim. And just one quick thing for full circle. Kim, we deliver meals to Growing Home, don't we? To the food apprentices, with the partnership of the Greater Chicago Food Depository, we're able to give food back to the place where Colette first found food. So this is cyclical, as you know, it's a generative cycle that we're creating in all of this. So Kim, off to you. Tell us about ChiFresh.
Yes. So once again, hey everybody, Colette got me feeling so giddy on the inside. Just to see how everything just came together, and they was working before I even knew that they was working to create the idea of ChiFresh. So I'm Kimberly, Britt. I'm co-owner of ChiFresh Kitchen. I own it along with 4 other formerly incarcerated individuals. And we just want to make a powerful impact on formerly incarcerated individuals. So upon my release, I entered into a transitional home. And one of the first things they try to get you to do is groom you up to get employment, okay? Because they want you to be independent and get out there and just tackle the world. So I experienced the runaround from so many different places and people and jobs that I went to seek after to find employment. And finally, one day I came in a little disappointed, and I came into the Grace House where Colette facilitated her group, and I saw a pamphlet, and it just stood out to me because it said you had the opportunity to be an entrepreneur. So within that, I was like, oh yeah. So I started asking all the other ladies around the Grace House, was they going, y'all going to this? They said you can own your own business. So nobody was interested. And I reached out to a few of my friends that I was still in contact with who happened to be formerly incarcerated. And we went to a meeting and met Camille Kerr, and she gave us the pitch of what she wanted it to be, and that we had the opportunity to become business owners. Okay. So we sat down and we brainstormed, and the pandemic happened while we were in the process of creating ChiFresh. So when the pandemic took place, inside of the transitional home was actually an experience for me, because I actually had the opportunity to see what it was like to not be able to acquire food. So, and within that, I was so grateful that, hey, this right here, a light bulb went on. I'm like, yes, we can go ahead and start trying to feed people who was in the same situation that I was in, elderly people who probably wasn't able to get food or have somebody to bring them food or whatever. And right directly in the middle of the pandemic, ChiFresh came about. Okay, so everything was going well. And after the pandemic was over, we was like, hey, because everybody was trying to feed the community at that time. And then when the pandemic ended, nobody was trying to feed the community at that time. So we had to pivot. What are we going to do now to keep us with a job, with a living wage? We wanted our jobs because nobody inside of ChiFresh who was building ChiFresh was able to find that employment. And we had that opportunity to get that living wage, and we wanted to keep it. So one of our co-owners' kids was coming home hungry from school because the food wasn't all that great. So we said, we know our food is great in ChiFresh Kitchen. We know it's healthy. We know we can meet the school requirements that they had, that they wanted to feed the kids on a daily basis. So we pivoted. And right now we serve Kerr Robinson daycare centers on the west side of Chicago, as well as Ancona private school, as well as other catering businesses that want to be fed in the Chicagoland area. So ChiFresh has affected my life in a major way. First of all, I'm an owner of a business. I did time in prison, and I never ever imagined getting a job, but owning my own business, as well as having the opportunity to working with people that experience the same traumatic situation that I had is absolutely amazing for me. So while I've been at ChiFresh, I became first of all, I'm president of the board, which I'm happy to say. I'm on the advisory board at ChiFresh. I'm also on the board of the World Confederation of Co-ops. I'm also in an accelerator program called the Red F, where we initially just met a week ago, and I met a whole lot of amazing people around the United States who have the same mission as me. They want to see people re-entering, lead a successful life, whatever that is that they might consider it to be successful. And within that, I just feel great about the movement that we are doing at ChiFresh right now. But what I'm most excited about is our next adventure. So another barrier that we all ran into from being formerly incarcerated was trying to find a good place to lay our heads at night, a safe place to be able to lay our heads at night. And although there is a law out that says landlords aren't supposed to discriminate against people with background, we are definitely still experiencing that right now today. So just like we tackled the situation about jobs, we went ahead and dived off into creating our own co-op. It's called Jumpstart Housing Cooperative. And is my time up, Camille? Oh, okay. So we created Jumpstart Housing Co-op, where we're in the process of purchasing an amazing building that was already a cooperative, and all the ChiFresh members, yeah, there we go. All the ChiFresh members will be the first ones to live in there. It's in the Bronzeville area. And it not only do we own our first business, we will be property owners too as well. So We are all super excited about entering this next phase. And I am forever grateful to Colette Payne. I am forever grateful to Camille Kerr because they already started this movement. And I just want to keep joining in and fighting back against all the barriers that formerly incarcerated people experience, because we deserve a second chance at life, and our mistakes should not determine our future, and we ready. So yeah, that's about it for me.
Thank you so much, Kim. And I just want to highlight more of the interconnectivity, because those meals that we were providing to people, Urban Growers Collective funded those meals during the pandemic because they had a track record of already having connection to their community and feeding people. And they worked with us and chose us to get food out there and to integrate their produce into the food we were getting out there, because we all have that aligned vision of what food and justice can look like together. And Ancona is one of our clients because Erika introduced us to their, so this is the community that helps, build the foundation for what we're all trying to do together. Erika, off to you.
Well, and it's a collective, right? It's a collective. The idea of, the things that we are all doing are still really in a trailblazing kind of format. Like this work is not, how to say, hasn't been around for a long time, and it certainly hasn't been around in the context of people of color, Black women, Latinx women, Indigenous women, leading the work within the context and framework of Chicago. And to be able to have an emergency hit, and knowing that not only did we weren't prepared for it, people needed prepared hot food, just within all of the kind of coordinating meetings that CIFPAC was hosting. That's how I met Camille. She started talking about what she was launching, and it was such an easy connection based on, the experience that we've had first with Growing Power Chicago, and then the transition to Urban Growers Collective of all the kind of programs, the farm to city market basket, where you pay $12 and get $20 worth of produce, a mix of what you're growing on the farm and what's coming from wholesale. And in knowing that having as many options as possible for folks to be able to access food isn't going to necessarily erase or correct structural racism or inequities, but it creates the nourishing environment that supports, and you can see it in the missions, that supports our health, our economic development, healing, and creativity. But it's really the missing piece was this cooperative solidarity economy. And I was super excited because my trajectory and even just being in this work was alternative sentencing for young people using art therapy. And then I pivoted after 9/11 when I realized how vulnerable all of our communities were around food. And then I grew up farming. Well, I wasn't trying to go back to farming, but this is a tool, just like painting or sculpting or any kind of other craft, that it was something that needed to be reintroduced into our communities within this time frame. And it was a correct forecast, that it was something that really taught us resilience. How do you grow food in cities with minimal resources, and to kind of rebuild both the tactical skills, but also to create spaces that become healing environments. And so it took 20 years to go from just the hustle of to grow enough food or even seafood or resurrect environments can't just be on a little raised bed, although that's great. No shade to a raised bed, but to really create ecosystems that can then be responsive and have a lot of different approaches that may not have worked at a certain time, but then worked during this time that we've that we've built our relationships and this ecosystem. I have a bunch of slides. There are way too many. I'm just going to use them as sort of a backdrop. I do love this quote that we use in our herbalism program at Urban Growers Collective that really, to me, embodies the ethos that I think has brought our collective, this new collective together, and the work that we're embarking on. And I just want to read it because it's so powerful. But true belonging depends upon our reciprocity with the environment in which we are embedded and unto which we are indebted. In the same way that mitochondria work to break down nutrients and turn it into energy for our bodies, we too are but a single component of a greater biosphere that sees no hierarchy between ferns and redwoods, worms, and eagles. If we imagine an invisible mycelial network under the visible surface of things, of which we are all but fruiting bodies, then we see how our lives should be in service to feeding the whole forest together. And I really see this work that Urban Growers Collective, and I underscore collective, does is to support that mycelium network, that we're a small unit doing what we do and building on the knowledge and the experience that and skill sets that we've cultivated over the last 20 years, and have a large network of folks that we've trained, that have trained us, that we've grown with. And now this next kind of level of our collective experiences, solidarity economies, worker co-ops, and really empowering all of us, but most importantly, folks that have been counted out, who've been underestimated, who've had to overcome ridiculous barriers that are hard to even fathom, that most of us have not had to even on our worst days can't imagine having to overcome some of the things that our community fellow community members have gone through. And so just knowing that those things, that those structures of inequities are ultimately why we do our work. So this is our theory of change. And it is really about healing and growing individuals and to cultivate strong communities and, ultimately improving community health, well-being, and economic vitality. And we're kind of at that point. And you can see these levers to kind of get there, building an awareness of healthy food and building urban food systems, because we live in cities. If we were all in rural environment, this would be the same thing. And I really like to remove those barriers between urban and rural. It's a matter of space, resources, and a different way of growing because of the additional impacts of environmental racism and environmental degradation within our cities. But having access to space, having access to social emotional learning and building those skill sets, reclaiming those skill sets, just having the experience to be job ready and not just develop the employment skills, but actually know that at the end of that, there is a business that I own, that I can build my family's wealth and create stability generationally. And then to, of course, have access, and this is UGC, so we're still in this zone, but my fellow collaborators and team members now have built this. They've built the entrepreneurial and economic opportunities that we envisioned 5 years ago. This now exists, and now we have cohesion. We're building our social capital. We're historically we've grown in the commons, so our work has really been for Chicago. We had our initial incubator program was called Farmers for Chicago. Now we're growers because we wanted to really encompass all forms of growing. So I like to say, just, if you're a grower of a basil plot on your windowsill, or have a plot and, a raised bed in your backyard, or you're part of a community garden, or you're a social impact grower, or you're somebody who wants to commercially grow, all of those scales are important and they impact the environment, our ecosystem, and now climate change. But you can really see where we've been able to develop. And these are the physical spaces. We also have 13 Fresh Moves mobile market sites. the South Chicago farm. So this is where we weren't ready for the pandemic, but we did have food, and we were right away able to supply ChiFresh, Majani, also Las Vizinades, to be able to prepare and deploy hot meals to our communities. And that was such a rewarding experience to be able to do that, and to use that time to also build economic sovereignty, to begin building and investing in each other and the efforts that we could see within our framework to continue to build and grow. You know, all of our sites are kind of, they're trailblazing. All these programs are ways to activate and to expand our food sovereignty, our ability to have agency within our communities. It is not easy work. I think a lot of times folks romanticize this work. It is in many days grueling, intellectually challenging, but does require multiple kind of facets to be operating and to be growing, so that we really have a cohesive, decentralized food system and can support our food economies, and at least within the vein that we're all working within the food system, creating these worker co-ops. Food access for all of us is really key. We distributed a great deal of food and you know, prepared meals that are from ChiFresh. We were also able to leverage some of the ICGA, the funding from the state, to be able to just provide everybody with $10 vouchers. So anyone coming to the bus, you know, could just get $10 worth of produce, high quality, nutritionally dense food that we grow. And also we sourced a lot of produce from Midwest Produce, who sources from our region primarily. And that was important for us to be able to really quickly, you know, leverage the relationships that we had in place, but also begin to move more into this healing. And so during that time, we really, the farm director, Malcolm Evans, and director of operations, Laura Lynn Clausen, Kim Crutcher, myself, and many others revisioned that we wanted to do apprenticeships, that, you know, we have a specific way that we work and that we grow. And if folks were interested in learning how we do what we do, that we would offer apprenticeships and grow together. And so out of this challenging cycle that we've gone through, this future proofing, which I love this year's summit theme, allowed us to really expand our understanding of how to support, you know, personal, family, community healing over a long period of time, to work with Camille and her colleagues to really introduce solidarity economies and how do you run a co-op, you know, within the context of a grower apprenticeship. So our growers aren't doing individual my farm or my garden, but we're gonna manage this plot for 3 years together and really learn how to run a co-op, and as opposed to another kind of business structure, because we really believe in just the way that we've been able to develop is through cooperative work. This last summer was the first summer in my 22-year career doing this specific work that I was not making direct decisions in farming every week, which is kind of sad, but also important, because now there's new leaders in place. And just to be at that point where there is a leadership transition is really powerful. To begin to have elders and have, I'm a baby elder. I don't really consider myself a full elder, but a baby elder, you know, to be able to mentor and support the next generation, and then lean into some of these new exciting enterprises that are launching, and to be able to bring, you know, a wealth of experience, and, you know, both successes and failures, which I think is really important. And then to be able to take these things into these different arenas that allows us to really continue to impact policy and to be in conversations that exemplify and really highlight this work that we're doing and how critical it is. It is critical to build wealth in our communities, to stabilize our communities through through housing. I mean, food, housing, water. I mean, those basic building blocks of civilization that we're still contending with. And you know, the next generation for me is very much being able to be completely closed loop, to be able to have that we can generate our own energy, the food scraps that are coming from ChiFresh Kitchen and from everyone's households and businesses, that we can conscientiously return them back to the soil through digestion and capture the methane to have carbon negative fuel. And that we can do that within our food system with this work that folks really underestimated for so long. But when a stressor hit, boy, was it awesome to see so many people coming out and finding therapeutic support, being able to feed their families through the spaces that we were able to cultivate. It was also really kind of like bittersweet that if there had been more, we would have had more resources and more agency. How many more people would have been able to have had these resources? So I think collectively we're really looking forward to being able to expand this work that we've embarked on for the next few years and continue to build our agency, our capacity, and our freedom. I don't know how long I took. I hope I didn't take up too much time, but it's hard for me to just do a little quick. It's so hard, y'all.
I think everybody wanted to hear every word that came out of your mouth. And there's a bunch of questions in the chat too, that will go, if some of those you can reply by chat while I kind of close us out and move us to overall questions for everyone. So I don't know if we ever really talked about what it is that we all are working on together in these next few years. So from the foundation of collaboration that you heard about from each of us, that I think you can tell each of our stories are really intertwined. And if it were a visual, the web and cycles would go and connect each of us in different ways through different people. But now we're building on growing ChiFresh. So having ChiFresh be a bigger part of the food ecosystem. We're getting our first contract. Well, we're signing right now with the Greater Chicago Food Depository, like a larger contract than we've had before with them. And but we're set up in our new facility and ready to grow. We out of that facility we could produce up to 5,000 meals today and employ 30 people eventually. So that's what we're kind of building up to. But at the same time, thinking about other cooperatives that we want to build in the food ecosystem and working together to kind of think through from each perspective, what does the food ecosystem need? What do we need what do workers need? What does the solidarity economy ecosystem need? And start to build another cooperative centered on formerly incarcerated women and their experiences that also intersects with our food ecosystem, because as you can tell, we're like planting these seeds simultaneously, that food justice and economic justice are happening one and the same with the work that we're doing. Environmental justice and food justice are happening one and the same with Green Era Project. And the solidarity economy is woven throughout each of these pieces. So we're going to be we're going to be growing ChiFresh together. We're going to be building new cooperatives together. And as we do that, we're going to build deeper relationships so that that all of our work, like I started with solidarity economy and co-op hat on. Erika came from a food perspective, at least from when we met her, and Colette with and Kim with restorative justice and criminal justice work on their minds. But this now our work is so intertwined. I don't think you could call out any one of those issues as our issue. We are all part of this larger work to build what we want to see. So just want to kind of tie together these different pieces, and we're super excited. I don't know, Colette or Kim, now that you got to hear Erika and hear each other, anything else you want to reflect on before we open up the floor?
No.
All right, I'm here. I'm seeing the no's from both of them. So let's
No,
open it up.
I was trying, you know how I am with this.
I
Like,
know with the mute. You
Camille,
go,
so
Kim.
quit playing. But I already knew Erika and loved her. Like, I heard her story from the first time that we decided to go ahead and deliver food on behalf of UGC, and I'm just excited to see what is like, where this whole collective can actually go, because she has my interest so peaked in learning about herbs and the dirt and my body being a piece of fruit. Like, I am so excited. I am so excited to just learn more from her and to grow more with her. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
It is so powerful to me to hear that, because I think when we first started, it was we were trying to kind of get there right away, and we're there. And the art psychotherapist in me I just can't wait to make art with you all too, just to like create together, envision together, and continue this healing work. It's so powerful.
Yeah, it's medicine, right? It's medicine.
And it shouldn't be this hard either to get this kind of work up and off the ground. It shouldn't be this hard, and then this, to see the transformation in you all over the 3 years and all of us, is just mind-blowing, really. It's so humbling and powerful, and we can do it over and over again and support more and more of us being able to do this work together. That's what excites me.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And I should mention too, so this has become a priority for the city of Chicago, and I think at least a little bit because of what they've seen is possible with ChiFresh and with other cooperatives in the space. The city made a $15 million investment into cooperative development, so that people who build cooperatives and who and cooperative projects themselves can get support directly from the city. I think for the first time ever. I don't know. I don't like to say first, but I haven't heard about Chicago making an investment like that before. So we're really seeing that these seeds that we're planting are growing, and that more and more people are interested in the possibility of what this model can bring.
It's the first time. So
yeah, it's the first time, right? It's
Yeah.
got to be the first time. And this all grew during a pandemic. Yes, absolutely. So we have a comment here, hopefully that includes food co-ops. Y'all, grocery is so complex, but yes, there are multiple food co-ops throughout the city that are interested in getting started. Food co-ops, different from any worker co-op in the food industry. A food co-op specifically refers to a grocery store co-owned usually by the consumers of that grocery store and the workers who work there, or just the consumers of that grocery store. But a lot of people think about food co-ops as a way to increase food access. So food co-ops are something that multiple people are toying with throughout the city right now. There's multiple ones on the south side that are interested in getting started. And y'all, grocery is hard, so hard. Grocery, the margins are like 0.5% or something like that.
it's really hard.
Competition is, Kim knows our books now, so she knows our margins are 10%. So she's like 0.5. I don't want any of that. I don't want to see any of that noise.
It is a brave individual who moves on a grocery store. It is really hard, just from a financial perspective. It's numbers. You have to have huge numbers to make it work, and even then, I don't quite understand. It's hard.
It's so hard,
especially in our communities.
But we need food access. So where is
the
solution that makes that food access possible? And there are people who are trying innovative things, everything from smaller markets. We're going to have a small retail space where hopefully we have some produce available, fresh moves. We're all trying to figure out how to make sure that food access happens, but yeah, grocery is hard. And we have a raised hand. Karen, is that who else? Feel free to unmute and ask.
Oh, hi, Camille. Thanks for, and Erika, all your information. My name is Karen. I just put the comment in about food co-ops. And I have this really crazy idea about having several smaller co-ops across the south side of Chicago. Because of what you just got through saying, you have to have a large membership in order to do any damage. But again, you have these large corporations coming into our communities, and they get this huge tax break to come in, and then after a few years they're gone again. And so the same situation continues, but we still eat. We still have to eat. So, does it mean that we have to own our own in order to continue to eat, and then partner with, places like Urban Growers Collective or Pembroke Farms, that sort of thing, to get our fresh food? I don't know. I don't have the answer. I'm still working on that, but I think it's something to consider.
Yeah, absolutely. There are lots of them. There's coordinated work right now that the city of Chicago is hosting through the Food Equity Council. There's a retail sprint group that's thinking through with a lot of the different food retail, especially grocery stores, thinking through how do we coordinate better to make this actually viable and sustainable for all of us. So people are really trying to think hard about but these are complex problems and complex issues, and there's no one solution, but absolutely, I think people are being really innovative out there with how we address these issues. Yeah, and people talking about all of the different ways that we each do a little bit, and that makes large networks of that make a difference, and bringing up that, us all having, like Erika said, a plot, a little, a raised bed or a window basil or whatever it is, and then together, we're reintroducing ourselves to food, and healing our relationship with it.
And connecting with our environment and with each other. I mean, I think that Gabby Powell put it, just the elders. I mean, everyone shared food. I mean, it's like we always hear it, like down south, everyone had food. We would share, we would take care of each other. I mean, that's that mutual aid that came out during the pandemic. That spirit's alive and well when given the opportunity, but we have to be intentional about it. I think that there's a way to do cooperative groceries where everyone has to contribute some labor. I mean, I think you all are modeling that, to make the business work. And, yeah, I might have to put in some extra hours. I may have, but I'm connected to this. I have agency in this. And if this doesn't exist, where am I going to get my food? It's that kind of like being inspired and having the tools to be able to begin healing and rebuilding our communities. And that leads to so many other opportunities. Food is it's a gateway. We like to eat, and we likes to eat, right? Like we all do. We celebrate.
Definitely.
We are crabby and hangry if we don't get food. And we want to be able to feed ourselves and our communities the most nutritionally dense food. We need it. We need it to even just deal with the stress and the mental health challenges and all the trauma that we're still processing that. And to be able to nourish ourselves and to find joy in the environments that we're cultivating is so empowering, especially if you're coming out of incarceration, especially if you're coming into a new version of yourself, regardless of the spectrum that people are experiencing, the different challenges in their lives. And I just see, like, to be able to make that be an economic reality that doesn't harm people or the environment, and we can still make money and still take care of ourselves, is so exciting. Like, who wouldn't want that?
Right.
Like, you know, like it's just like, who doesn't want this?
This
It's like,
is-
it's like
Well,
so
it is
strange.
hard work, y'all. We are all a little tired, aren't we, though?
Yeah, it definitely is.
We a little tired. Annette, jump in.
So I guess I'm still trying to understand how it sounds like you are envisioning networks of co-ops that have like actual plots in the city that people come and work at, as perhaps, as I'm looking in the chat, the raised bed cloche hydroponics in the basement like me. But to me, the model for connecting all those is Instacart. So that is a grocery store that goes to other grocery stores and then delivers you your food, a margin to them to shop for. So I'm just wondering if that is how your network is going to be between co-ops. Someone comes to a cart and says, I want and they look at the and so co-op has red cabbage and it's 20 miles from them, and so else it was growing it in their basement, but they're ready to sell their crop. So, and that was only 10 miles from their house. So by distance and by purchase, this Instacart will fill the order. I just I'm trying to understand the logistics of how you're picturing this network of networks working. Tell me what
Well,
you're
so
thinking.
what we're building. So there is the kind of infrastructure that you're talking about. The food ecosystem definitely needs. So there's Common Market is thinking of coming to town, and others have been studying the possibility of a food hub for a while, which would aggregate locally grown produce and into one place from which it could be distributed either to institutions like ChiFresh or perhaps to individuals. I don't know if Common Market serves
Well, I was
individuals.
wondering if ChiFresh is actually, where, I would log into ChiFresh and I'd say, I live here and I want
ChiFresh is
this
a
fresh
food
stuff.
service contractor. So we bring food to schools and we do bring food to individuals, but we contract with like a health
Oh, I see.
center. Yeah. So we work
Okay.
directly with institutions. We are not really B2C. We might have a small retail operation, but right now we are more B2B. We work, business to business, not business to consumer. So
Okay.
we do drop off food to people, but we have a contract with a network of healthcare facilities, and people who come out of those facilities and need and would benefit from food, we home deliver meals to them. But that's our main contact directly, besides the kids who eat our food, like at institutions, but that's mostly where that food goes.
And just that what you described sounds like an amazing business. It's not specifically what Urban Growers Collective does. We're really interested in connecting folks within the communities that we work in to be able to have more agency by growing their own food, and supporting folks who want to activate growing to be able to supply businesses like ChiFresh, who want to just be able to grow for their families. And then we also we have our own kind of distribution through the Fresh Moves mobile market, and also a collective supported agriculture vehicle where people can order whatever we have on the farm. They get a share of what we're growing, and that they can pick it up. And then this year we're going to be delivering. So Instacart without the choices, but eventually people will be able to kind of choose what we have in stock and order what they want. We just don't have the infrastructure to do that yet, but we will. And there's many others who do. There's a lot of small businesses and not-for-profits that's how they that's part of their business model. So there's so many possibilities. The goal is just to get so many more growers and to build the generation of growers, so that whether it's Common Market or Urban Canopy or Black Oaks, or just so many great Fresher Together, there's just lots of different emerging entities that are their business plans and their models are reliant on having more growers growing more, growing beyond the little box or the side yard, but really on acres to supply all of our businesses. So we are still in the foundational years of building this infrastructure and these models, and just invite you and everybody else on the call to support and participate and bring the ideas. There's some just really amazing work that's happening, and the young people are showing up and are really inspired and to do this work, because it is work.
It's work. It's even work when I just do it in my little old house. I get that. But I just, and I think that it would be great if everyone, as a matter of habit, or I don't know, habit, it's probably not the best word, everyone had their own little setup, that they grew something for themselves that they didn't have to buy at the store. But I heard someone else say that groceries are hard. And groceries are hard because the volumes have to be high, as you said, because the margins are tight. So this Instacart thing sounds to me like it's going to have to be a not-for-profit. I'm not sure it's a for-profit, unless you would have, like, some cities might not be big enough to even do it. I was wondering if you understand, like, how many suppliers or how many pounds have you already explored how much there has to be there to actually make money running a grocery store or an Instacart? Does someone even have numbers like that in their mind yet?
Yeah, I mean, I work with Peter Frank. He started a grocery in Philadelphia. Peter's part of the Upside Down consulting team, and so he's part of that retail sprint group that the city is putting together, and they're thinking through the numbers. And it is very dependent on foot traffic and volume and shelf life, and it's like a complex calculation. But yeah, it's there's no one number. Like, some food co-ops can thrive because they sell fancier products in very small communities.
Then they can mark them up. Okay, because I was thinking that this would only work in a city the size of Chicago, not like Springfield, Payne, or Quincy. It would have to be a big city for it to work with a bunch of small suppliers. I don't know. It was great listening to what you're saying. You can hear what I'm thinking about. I don't know what I think yet either.
And I saw a question from Tatiana. Are the schools able to participate in the co-ops as a supplier of produce via their own garden? So Ancona does grow. We should talk to the kids. They grow a little bit, see if we can go when we drop off food, pick up a tomato or two and add it into their next meal. I mean, they are interested. Erika, if I told you, they really, once it's warm out, they want to do a tour of both ChiFresh and UGC, like have the kids do a full day, seeing where their food comes from, like go see the farm, come see where it's prepared, and then, maybe even eat their lunch there. So we definitely, with the kids that we're serving food to, want to not just bring them food, but also integrate them into this beautiful world that we're part of, where we have reconnection with our food and the earth, so that's definitely part of the strategy.
Yeah, and I would add with CPS, Chicago Public Schools, I mean, there's just been a movement for so long to get the food from the garden into the classroom, into the cafeteria, and there are just a lot of just food safety barriers that had to remove, kitchens reinstalled. So just this kind of collaboration, I could just see this, eventually ChiFresh, I'm gonna put it out there, having a CPS contract to service, schools in our communities, and for students to be able to come to the farms that are supplying the kale and collards and the fried green tomatoes and the delicious, all the delicious food. I'm just making up food that I'm hungry because I know things I want to eat apparently. To see that and how that when there's a connection or the carrot that a student comes on a field trip and pulls out of the ground and makes that connection. Oh, that carrot that I get from my ChiFresh comes from this farm and this is where they make it. I have a connection to that. You know, I can see this as people who are in my community care about me and love me and have made this. This is nourishing food. Just to make that connection is so powerful. And we'll be able to do that because now we have this brick and mortar, these protected spaces that we can grow food and that they're owned by the community and it's us. And we haven't had that for a long time. So I'm very hopeful and excited and just appreciate having had this time to talk with you all. I'm re-inspired.
Thank you, everyone. It is 6:45 and I'm sure we all been on Zoom a little bit too much today. So we're going to head out, but it's so beautiful to share space with you all. Thank you for your thoughtful participation and questions. And of course, thank you to my colleagues here for coming in and for sharing this space together.
Oh, can I just add just a couple of schools? I see someone put Comer in. Academy for Global Citizenship is building a whole urban farm campus to supply its new campus at UGC, and ChiFresh and others will be helping with. And there's just so many great things happening in our city. So lots of things to connect with.
Awesome. All right. Well, there's love in the chat. We appreciate your love. Love right back to you, and have a great rest of this conference. And hopefully we'll see you with dirt on your hands out in the farm sometime.